Hey everyone. You know, I think one of the biggest questions anybody has ever had when it came to cartoons, past and present, is why is it every season there seems to be some kind of alteration? In other words, why is it seems that every season or every other season, characters seem to have a slight makeover? Maybe there's something different about them in some way. Maybe their coloring's darker, lighter. Maybe they got more highlights if they're a female or even a male. Maybe they got more highlights in the hair. Maybe the hair is a darker shade of the color that it is than it was originally. All sorts of things. But the biggest one I think that gets a lot of fans questioning as to what's the point, as to why do it in the first place when you could have done it to begin with, is when a character or characters get a whole freaking redesign and makeover. And one of the biggest culprits out of this back in the 80s and even the 90s was Dick Entertainment, now known as now under the title of DHX Media, so on and so forth. So, why was Dick Entertainment the biggest culprit of these redesigns? Not saying that other shows, like other studios like Warner Brothers or Disney and so on, you know, weren't corporate, weren't they will. I'm not saying that Warner Brothers and Disney, don't share the blame in a sense. Then they're just like Dick Entertainment. They're corporates in the same sense. But Dick Entertainment seemed to do it almost more often than anybody else. Now, true, even Hanna-Barbera got into the act in the 70s and 80s, but mostly stayed true to what their characters look like. The biggest makeover I think or redesign for a character they've ever had prior to the 80s and 90s and 70s was Cindy Bear. Cindy Bear's original design, as we all know, was blue fur with a bonnet, a parasail, like a little necklace, like little neck dress or something whatever, and her in a yellow skirt. Movie comes around. One of the head animators at Hanna-Barbera, one of the legendary ones, Iora Takamoto, I'm sorry if I pronounced his name wrong, came up with the idea to basically redesign her to closely more resemble what an actual bear looks like, but also be more in the same color scheme as in a similar color scheme, I should say, as Yogi and Boo Boo. Basically make her into the officially the Minnie Mouse of the Yogi Bear franchise. By giving her a definitive look that we all know and love today. But like I said, Hanna-Barbera, Disney, and Warner Brothers are corporates or culprits, I should say, in the redesign business, in the animation, in redesign animation of characters. They share the same blame. Like I said, the culprits as well. But Dick Entertainment was probably the biggest one of all. Now, of course, you had Filmation right there with them, probably doing the same thing here and there. But I remember mostly a lot of the Dick Entertainment shows I would watch as a kid and I would rediscover today because maybe I didn't watch them as much. The characters got, when it came to the next season or so, the characters got huge redesigns. And I mean huge. Sonic Sat AM, for example, is a prime example for me. The first season, pretty much we knew what the characters looked like. True, they went through a slight alteration and redesign after the pilot Heads or Tails, which because the pilot was basically based off what was in the Archie comics. There you go. Or the original character designs that were used in the early issues of the Archie comic, as well as if you look at a video that's loud that floating around here on YouTube in a CSS a sneak peek, they showed what the original intro was going to be for Sonic Sat AM, and all the characters are in the pre-Sat AM designs, basically the early Archie designs, if you will. So Sonic Sat AM is no stranger to this because after Heads or Tails, we got the designs of Sally, Bunny, Rhoda, and Antoine that we know, as well as Sonic and Tails. But then comes the second season, and things really changed. For example, Rhoda, he got a complete redesign, didn't look like he was before. Antoine got a slight redesign as well, alteration. Bunny didn't look like much had changed to her, except they shaded her coloring darker, or except they made her coloring a little darker. And it wouldn't be until part one of Blast of the Past that we would see a full kind of redesign for her, with her finally getting darker green eyes with the pupils inside. Sally, of course, like most of the characters, her coloring was darkened as well, but she ended up getting a redesign with, like I said, the darker fur, the darker red, the hair being a little bit more brownish red, more brown than red at times, and and if that's not all, she had her eyes were basically fleshed out by giving her pupils and stuff like that, but she was also given a vest. So it was a huge redesign right there. And again, this is something that Dig Entertainment is no stranger to, because Dig Entertainment has done this several times with several of those series. One series that I'm going to hopefully be acquiring real soon, thanks to media bailout at ioffer.com, is Kid Video. Now, I've watched some reviews of it, I've watched some clips of episodes here on YouTube and various places. And I know I've mentioned him before in videos, but even Rob of Planet Rob uh, mentioned this, that come the second season, the designs of the characters were more cleaner, more fluid. And as many reviews, text reviews and such would tell you, the redesigns in the second season of the characters matched what the real life counterparts, what the real life human selves look like. You see, when Kid Video came out, basically the plot was okay. The Kid Video band got transported into the Flipside world, which is a cartoon world. But basically, as they got sent over there, the cartoon selves did not look anything like what they looked like before they got transported. Carla didn't look like Carla. She didn't have the curly hair. Instead, it was long. Everybody looked, kind of close to what they were, but slightly more different. Basically, more cartoony, or as even Rob put it, more Hanna-Barbera like in a sense. It wouldn't be until the second season that Kid Video would go through that character redesign, and they even did a press release on it, talking about the fact that it was going to get a new look. And the new look matched up to what the characters looked like to the real life counterparts, or the real life selves. Heck, even the intro, which was the same intro, changed to match the character look. I'm not joking. The characters, basically, it's the same intro, but the design of the characters, but it was altered to show the difference, I should say, in the change of character design. So if you do a comparison, there's the season 1 opening, and then his season 2, and it's like you could see the difference. You could see that the characters the character designs of the Kid Video band matched up more to what they look like in real life compared to season 1. And how is this possible? Well, let's take a look at some pointers. Carla's character in season 1, like I said, her hair went from being curly in live action to just straight, and she was kind of a little whiter. I'm not trying to say anything about that, but she was lighter colored. Second season comes around, her hair is curly, her skin's darker, And she has makeup on. That's right, she has lipstick and eyeshadow. She doesn't have that in the first season. The other characters start, you know, all the other characters are redesigned, like I said, to match what they look like in real life. Robbie Risk's character ended up looking more like what he did in real life. The Kid Video character, same thing, and the Ash character, same thing. The only real makeover of a design for a character was Glitter's. Glitter, believe it or not, in the first season, if they did a close-up shot of her or something, she actually was the one that had eyeshadow and makeup. Come the second season, her hair is, she has brown hair and everything. Come the second season, she's got black hair. She's got no makeup. It's like her and Carla are basically reversed looks, if you will. Now you might say, well, Glitter looked a little bit like she did in the second season when it came to the opening, to the intro. Yes, she did. But you might notice that her design changed a little bit. Yeah, she did look a little bit like that, but not entirely. Because just like with the Kid Video characters in their redesign for the second season, she got one as well, and there you go. Heck, even Master Blaster, when he's kidnapping him, his kidnapping part, his teleportation part, is changed up as well. Basically, the second season, was basically the second season was a season of vast improvement in animation design, and quality. Now, like I said, Dick Entertainment has done this with several of the shows. When they did Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cats, even though you didn't see it much, you could see slight redesigns with them. You could see slight redesigns with them if you take a real close, notable look. Now, one of the things a lot of people, again, have a question of, if they're new to animation or they're learning animation, from a fan's perspective like mine, they ask the question, well, what's the point if you're just going to change character designs? Why don't you just get it done with and not have to worry about this? Well, I think basically because they use the first season. If you're Dick Entertainment, you use the first season as sort of a test season to see how fans are going to, an introductory season and a test season to see how fans are going to react to something like Kid Video or Sonic Stat AM or whatever. And if you see a positive reaction and, you see the ratings going up, then you're going to say, okay, let's go with a second season, but let's make it slightly different. But even though that's one scenario, and one possible scenario that they do, another one I go by what Ben Hurst said. Ben Hurst basically said people like him would go and rewatch all the episodes of the previous season, see what needed to be tweaked, changed, altered, redesigned, whatever, and then go from there for the second season. And it's pretty much what the people in charge of Kid Video did. Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cats, like I said, you could slightly see it, but it's there. All these people did that. Even Dick Entertainment did it with G.I. Joe when they acquired the rights to do a cartoon from Hasbro. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. So basically, that's the whole situation there. It's like, even the Littles had a bit of a redesign and relook for some of their characters. But why? Why do cartoon series have to have redesigns in future seasons? Sometimes, well, basically because I think it's more of a way to show this, more of a way to establish that the show, even after a season or two, that that show, if it's still continuing, has grown up along with you. I remember when they started doing the X-Men in the final season, and I started seeing these bumpers that you knew they were from episodes on Fox where they looked completely different. The animation was completely different. Finally, these episodes came on, and almost after 4.5 seasons, the X-Men got redesigns that were closely related to what you saw in the comic books. Now, of course, it was due to the fact that there was a change in animation style going from, I think, Saban to Marvel, Saban, I think, animation to Marvel animation. But still, it was like, you're so used to it that when you see it, you're like, you've got to be kidding me. This is a, you got to be kidding me. They changed things. They made it closely resemble what it is in the comic. Even Iron Man and Hulk, they did that in their 1990 series. So did Fantastic Four. So did Spider-Man on Fox. They all did this. Sometimes you could definitely see it because it was right in your face, and sometimes it was just a slight alteration or redesign that as soon as you saw it appear, it'd be like, whoa, that's different. That's a different look for them, or that's a different addition to them. That'd be about it. But mostly, when I look at it as a fan of animation, a redesign for a character is basically a sense of showing that not only is the show now established in the eyes of a lot of viewers, but it's also time for that show to grow up and be a little bit more mature in some areas. Sonic SatAM, with their second season, was a blending of still that dark, dramatic, serious tone, but also started to be more of a more lighthearted and comedic at times compared to the first season. Not saying the first season never had any comedic moments or scenes, they did. It's just that when it came to the second season, you could see it more often than you did in the first season, especially with the addition of Dulcie. That's another thing about redesigns when it comes to cartoon series in upcoming seasons, with new seasons. Sometimes you don't just get characters redesigned, you introduce new characters out of nowhere. And sometimes that might annoy people, but who are used to the series, but it's like, hey, new character. It, mostly it's like, oh, hey, look, it's a new character. And once you get over that initial shock, like, well, where's she from? Shock and question and asking questions of where this character's from, what they're about, and all that. Once that kind of settles down, it starts to dawn on you that, oh, it's part of the new season. It's part of the new look for the show. Part of the redesign. That's when it hits you. Because a lot of people, when they saw Dulcie, they're like, well, where did she come from? They didn't realize that it's all part of a redesign. It goes along with the redesign of the characters, as well as the blending of that dark, serious, dramatic tone with that light comedic tone. And Dulcie, she provided that because there were several scenes where the characters would have some funny moments. Uh, in several scenes when Dulcie would crash, you would have characters react. And almost like trying to tell her, hey, look out for this, and then bam, it's too late. Like in one of the first episodes, I think it was the first episode, when they crashed into a tree, Sally had to tell Ella to look out for the tree. She pointed out, and Sally's eyes got big in a sense, and they crashed. And as soon as they crashed right into Rhoda's workshop, you could see that Antoine, Tails, and even Sally riding on Dulcie had the looks of, ooh, we'll just stick to our stomach kind of deal. Even Bunny had a line as well. One time, I think it was in the second episode or two, they're looking for Sonic or something like that, and riding Dulcie, and Dulcie had this habit of falling asleep while she's flying. and she would crash right into a branch. And one of the lines that Bunny had was, "Hold on, Sally girl. Hold on, Sally girl. Looks like we're gonna land." Bam! Down they go. The point is, sometimes a character is brought in as part of that redesign for the second season, and sometimes they're brought in to bring, as I said, that blending of comedic lightheartedness to that to what is basically a serious dramatic series. But also on the other hand, they're there to emphasize that this is a new look for the series. It's still the same series and all that. It's just a new look, not just by character designs, but by characters themselves. And again, sometimes everybody wonders, well, why mess with a good thing? Why do it? Why can't? Oh, excuse me there. Why mess with it when you could have done it in the first place? Because, like I said, the first season or few seasons help establish who the characters and the characters are in the world that they live in. And then when that season comes around, where they basically go with the redesign, yeah, it's a little off-putting at first, or it's a little off-putting at first, or it's a little surprising at first. But once things settle down and you get used to it, it's just basically the same series. It's just the characters look different. Let me give you another example. In 1994, when CBS did their Action Zone block, and they were doing commercials hyping it up, one of the shows that was part of it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, of course, that series, because Action Zone was supposed to be more darker, was supposed to be a block of more darker, more serious shows, the Ninja Turtles became darker. The 80s ones, that is, became darker, more in tone, more closely resembling, maybe in design, what the movie counterparts look like. And everything was, like I said, had that darker red sky, as they said, feeling compared to the other seasons. And it took up to 8 seasons for it to happen. That's right, the eighth season is when is when business really started to pick up. When blank, if you will, started to get real. And after 8 seasons, it's a huge redesign. It's a huge shock. It really is to see the characters redesigned in this style. To see the Turtles redesigned in this style, because we were so used to them previously. But again, that's basically what redesigns are about. They're about showcasing that sometimes they're basically, like I said, they're about the fact that the show's established. It's about that show growing up, getting mature, and growing up with its audience finally. As well as it's a way of introducing new characters and maybe a new side of things for that show, while remaining true to what made it what it was. And sometimes, like in the case of Kid Video, it's done to have the animated versions closely resemble what the live action counterparts look like. I'm just saying. Now, I understand that some people just don't get it. Don't understand why a studio does this. I mean, you take a look at, Cartoon Network and the variety of shows that they have, and not once, well, yes, as a matter of fact, Cartoon Network is also is, is also corporate, uh, a corporate in this too, because there's shows like a Gumball show, you know, Amazing World of Gumball, and you could see that Gumball and his mom and several of the other characters have gone through slight redesigns as the seasons progressed. You could see that with even the very popular Steven universe. You could see Steven, Connie, his dad, uh, the gem characters of Pearl and Court, Pearl, Granite, and what's her name. you could see that you could see the slight redesigns in their character as the seasons go on. And why? Because that kind of a show, like Amazing World of Gumball, and then later on, and then like I mentioned, Ninja Turtles, and even X-Men, and even shows like Batman, the animated series, as they progressed and as the audience got older, one of the primary things about redesign of characters in animation is to help that show grow up with its audience. True, Sonic SatAM and Kid Video only had 2 seasons to work with, but in a sense, that was enough for the people at Dick Entertainment to say, okay, the shows are established. Let's let the show grow up what the audience it has acquired. And that's exactly what's happened. But again, that along with the fact that a show's been established, the fact that you want to maybe introduce a character, maybe lighten up the tone or darken the tone, it's all about that is it's all basically that is what a redesign in animation in future in animation when it comes to future seasons for cartoon series is about, in my opinion. It's basically all that I said. It's about the show growing up, even if it's one additional season. It's about the shows being established. It's about the characters looking a little bit more older and stuff, but like I said, growing up along with the audience. And in the case of something like X-Men and Turtles, is to Kid Video is to help them look more closer to what they were in the source material or as they are in live action. And shows like Gumball and Steven Universe and um, Avatar, if you will, and even heck, the Looney Tunes show had these redesigns because those shows were growing up with you throughout those seasons. You were growing up with it was growing up with you. But that, in my opinion, is the reasoning behind redesigns of characters and even shows, environments, and introduction of characters in future seasons is to help really build that show and allow it to grow along with you as you watch it as a viewer. Now I know you might think, well, now I know you're watching this and you're thinking he's just rambling on, don't know what he's talking about. Hey, I'm just giving my opinion here. And all I'm going to say is, in my opinion, that is what a reason why animation studios, do redesigns in future seasons for their shows, just for that reason. So, or for those reasons, I should say. So that's all I'm going to say, folks. Let me know what you think down below. Comment if you like, and I'll talk to y'all later.